All right, guys, welcome back into another PGA DFS video. My name is Eric Paulson. Going to begin to the Valero Texas Open Round 2 Showdown picks. Now, with that, we're going to touch on which players are going to be most likely to play better, which ones are most likely to play worse. With that, we can give you guys a pretty good estimate of who are going to be the top Round 2 Showdown picks. As a lot of you guys know, Showdown slates are kind of the sweet spot right now in PGA DFS. There's a huge edge right now, and hopefully we can take advantage of that in Round 2 today. And I kind of think we do, because there's some players that were expected to do well in Round 1 and just in general for the main slate that didn't do well. And so typically that's a really good indication of a player that's going to go out and play well in Round 2. You know, it's regression to their mean. That's all it is, negative or positive. That's what we're looking at there. So it should be a good Round 2 showdown. I'm kind of looking forward to it, and it should be a pretty good one. So just looking at the recap of Round 1, we'll get into that just for real quick. So I do want to point out Russell Knox, and with the caveat that Abraham Answer withdrew, so top 16, I guess he ran out top 17, went out and had a good round 1 first round leader there. And the thing about it is, if you filtered out the players that had the afternoon tee time and just focused on the morning tee time, which is what we're going to do in Round 2 Showdown as well. That's kind of the point I'm really trying to make here, is that Round 2 Showdown, we're going to focus on those players that had the morning tee time, because we're going to see an advantage there. The greens kind of dried out. They played a lot firmer and faster as the day went on. And so with that, in the morning, they're going to be a little bit softer, going to be able to take advantage of some of those pin placements. Some of the balls are not going to roll off the green that we saw happen in the afternoon. So had you done that here, he would have been, I think, eighth. I would have to count that again, but still pretty good there. Had a pretty good Round 1 showdown, just focused on morning slate as well. So that's all going to be there for you, and then that's also available in the 9 to 5 lineup builder there as well. But just looking at the cut sweat, so this is very interesting as a whole here. So Rory McIlroy is the highest owned player. That's the cut sweat, the biggest cut sweat currently. Now Hideki's there as well. He wasn't that high owned as a whole, but there's a lot of big name golfers that are looking like cut sweats as well, potential cut sweats as well. But Rory, so he's 29% owned on the site. Now this is a single entry contest, but I want to point this out because it's very interesting here. The thought process here it's pretty obvious. Abraham Answer withdrew. Hideki had the back concerns, the injury concerns that popped up on Tuesday night that lowered his ownership. So people just naturally went to Rory. Made a lot of sense. High own, he should play well here. And I do expect him to play well in Round 2. Okay. The data actually doesn't, which is kind of interesting, but I'm going to take the human element and I'm going to pick Rory in Round 2 Showdown. But what I want to point out here is that, man, he's really putting people behind the 8 ball here. So 13% out of the 34 lineups with 3 out of 6, he makes up like a third of the 3 out of 6 lineups. So pretty much what that tells us is that it was a bad lineup path for people that went with Rory currently. Because I guess going something like Corey Connors or going like Siwoo or Chris Kirk, or I can't think of any other golfers that were down in that 9K price point range, but going with those guys led you to a more kind of fair and balanced approach, if you will, which I kind of find interesting, because like with Rory, yeah, David Lipsky sucked, but like Patrick Uline you could have went with. Nate Lashley was an okay value play. Tyler Duncan was a guy that I liked as well. Those are all value plays that you could have went with that probably would have set you up pretty well, and you still would have been forced to go with like a little bit of the mid-tier section in pricing or the low-tier section in pricing, which those are the players that are doing well right now, which is kind of crazy. So, and that's kind of the theme, is that these high-tier players are really the biggest cut sweats right now. We see Bryson in there, Jordan Spieth in there. Jordan is currently outside the cut line as well. Bryson's currently outside the cut line as well. And man, just pointing this out before we get into the showdown picks, the bet the number people are struggling this year, guys. They are struggling. And so what I mean by bet the number is, if you guys don't know, is that a lot of times people will try to bet the number, and it does make sense. I'm not really making fun of it. But a lot of times people are like, can you believe that number on Bryson? And that was the team this week, 30-1. And if he goes on and wins, I'm going to laugh because that's funny. But like everyone was like 30-1, have to bet Bryson this week. And I'm like, why? He's not a good pick. Like, and I get it. Last year, this strategy was like rolling well for people. It actually hit a decent amount last year, and I was like, this is weird. It's hitting more than it should, and so it's kind of nice, I guess, to see it not hitting as much this year. And the strategy with that is like a guy like Bryson, who's just going through a rough patch in his game. 1 week that's going to click, and it typically they just regress back to their mean, and that's pretty much what round 2 showdown is. So let's get into that. So let me zoom in here for you guys. So round 2 showdown, let's go. All right, so I already have the regression pulled up. These are the golfers that are most likely to play better in round 2. Hideki, Matthew Naismith, kind of shocker there. Alex Smalley there, kind of a shocker there as well. Keegan Bradley, not too much of a shocker. David Lipsky, he sucked. So not too much of a shocker there. Lanto, Salith, Stewart, Taylor. None of these guys are big name players, so that's a little bit weird to me. And then round 2 ranking as well. Let's look at that. So Hideki, what it comes down to with Hideki, and actually kind of I'll do this in a second here. So with Hideki, the thing that you really want to do or need to ask yourself is, like, do you think his back is going to flare up again? Because it did on Tuesday, and it seemed like once the round went on, he was fine. He settled into it. It seems like he just needs to get loosened up. And maybe he'll play worse in the morning. Waking up, it's a little bit sore. Who knows? Or maybe he wakes up and doesn't have the whole day to go through. And so he gets out, gets loose, gets limber, and he's ready to go for 4 hours. And then he can, take his feet off and doesn't have to worry about it for the rest of the day. I don't know. That's going to be up to you guys to decide. The data likes him. Obviously, there's a human element here. And the human element is, hey, is he doing well? Is his body doing well? And he went on a birdie streak there, so it's not like the game isn't there if he's healthy. We could see that. And then I do want to point out the fact that we do want to be focusing on golfers that do have a AM tee time. So I'm actually going to go into the full data page here, and then I'm going to sort by round 2 showdown picks. So do that. Just a little bit uglier of a view. It fits all the data in there. And what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down to the AM tee times, because these are going to be all the guys that have the AM tee time this time. So we filter that in here, and now we get our player pool. This is going to be our player pool for round 2. Now, it's not to say someone in the PM wave can't go on and play well. Like I said, I think Rory will play better in round 2, and he probably shoot like a -4. Is that going to be enough? I don't know. We saw some really low scores in round 1 coming from the AM split. So I want to be targeting that. Okay, so those golfers that we could be targeting here, we can reduce the list here. It's going to be Hideki, Corey Connors, Keegan Bradley, Lucas Glover, Charles Howell, Alex Smalley, Jordan Spieth. And that's pretty ugly, guys. I mean, that's really kind of ugly there. And I do wonder if Corey Connors would still be up there if he didn't double bogey on 18. Because he double bogey on 18. I mean, he laid up and hit it, a shot into the water, had to take a drop, and then just played poorly on in. He could easily be -5 right now. I still think he would like him a little bit, but that's kind of interesting there. Kevin Streelman, not bad. I don't mind that. It's kind of ugly here. It's a little bit ugly here. Like Denny McCarthy played well. I'd probably go back to the well with him. I feel pretty comfortable with that. It just gets ugly, and that's the unfortunate side of it. So let's see here. Anyone else maybe popping up that we can play? I mean, Tony, if you want to, you can. Poulter, Mito. It gets ugly, but that's kind of the thing. It's like, oh, well, we just kind of have to play those players and kind of feel good with it. And then I did make a build here. You can't really see it. It was Charles Howell, Hideki, Keegan Bradley, Lucas Glover, Maverick McNeely, and Nick Taylor. So the thing that I did was I just plugged in the data, I didn't plug in the data. I just ran one build there, and then that was the optimal build. So we can see some of those players are going to be in that AM tee time. So I just kind of want to point that out to you guys as well. And then real quick, let's just get into who is most likely to win heading into round 2. So what I like to do is I like to get into this tab, go to win rank. It's just ranking out the players that are most likely to win. Now, obviously, you need to make the cut to win. Okay, so there's some players in there that aren't listed. So who's most likely to win heading into round 2? And I should mention, like, this hits like 73% of the time. I haven't done the data on that for about a month now, so it might not be as low as that. I'll have to see, but we've had some weird tournaments here lately. So, but yeah, Russell Knox, Not surprising there. Went low. Wasn't a bad pick. Was a good stat rank. And the problem with this week is, like, let's just look at this in the model rank here. This section here. Like, these are all players that you would have thought about playing in your player pool, but they're all kind of just like, they're okay. But they're all shoulder shrug plays here in this price point range, or in this win rank range, which is kind of crazy. I mean, that is just this week. The top end players, they might, even though they probably aren't, in the back of their head, they might be, overlooking this week. And these shoulder shrug plays kind of just know that this is a good tournament that they can go out and win. And I don't know, I just find that super interesting that, let's look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All of these guys that are most likely to win are like the first one that we get that's top 10 is Corey Connors and then Maverick McNeely. I don't know. That's just super interesting to me. That's super interesting to me. And it's not like these guys are bad plays that are up there. It's just there was like no reason to like go out of your way to love them as picks. And that was kind of the theme this week, is that it was very hard to differentiate. And we saw that with DraftKings pricing. They really struggled this week with pricing. There was a lot of weird pricing. So, yeah, you guys can make bets off of this if you wanted to. Aaron Rye, I don't know if I really agree with that. 5th overall right now. That's interesting. Denny McCarthy, I do like. It seems like he's due for a win. Personally, I do see Matt Kuchar potentially winning this bad boy as well. He's played super well after the first like 5 holes or so. Very calm and comfortable with his game. Corey Connors, if he cleans up some stuff, he could easily be there as well. Luke List. Luke List was a player that I was thinking about outright betting. I'm like, this is a perfect spot for him. But we'll see. Obviously we want to be targeting those guys maybe that have that AM tee time tomorrow, because they have the potential to go the lowest. So for me, someone like Danny McCarthy would make the most sense. Corey Connors would make the most sense. Anyone else? Did Gary Woodland? No, not Gary Woodland. He didn't have that. Can't think of the AM ones now. But yeah, I mean, those two definitely stand out to me the most. And then Aaron Rye, obviously, you could go with as well. So there'd be a way that you can gain an edge there. Just out of curiosity. Okay. Siwoo Kim, 5%, 9-5 odds. Interesting there. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. Kind of a faster video here for you guys. Try to get the plays out to you as simple as possible, as easy as possible. So once again, you want to be targeting those AMT times there. And it should be kind of as simple as that. I did that. I kind of split. I did 2 entries in round 1 showdown. I had one for the full slate and then one for the AM, using the AM splits. The AM one did much better than the full slate. So I think it was like triple up for AM, and then like $4 won for the full slate. So, not bad, but definitely seemed to be an advantage to the AM. So, all right, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like and subscribe. If you guys want to join 9-to-5 Nation, the best value in PGA DFS, $10 a month, man. It's crazy. I was looking at some other ones out there. It's like, holy crap. Way too expensive. We're just trying to give you guys the best advice, at the best value. And that's what we do. So, all right, that's all I got for you guys. Let's have a good week. Let's have those cut sweats go our way. Honestly, I'm going to be so mad if the high-end players are the letdown again after Joel Damon withdrawal last week. That really just changed the whole dynamic of the slate. It's going to be crazy if, like, Jordan, who I wasn't really on too much, Bryson, Rory, if, like, those guys miss the cut, it's going to be another crazy slate where these high-end guys are just the letdown. We'll see. Because the Masters is coming up, and that's definitely not going to be the case next week. So it'll probably be refreshing if those guys do go ahead and not play well tomorrow. So, all right, I'm out. Thanks for watching, guys.